Alright, hey guys, remember it's TCG back in the video. With this video, we're bringing you guys the Tistina archetypes. This is a new TCG exclusive archetype for Duelist Nexus. So here we have Sendon of the Testina. So if this card is in your hand or graveyard and you control a light Testina monster, you can special summon this card. And then you can target one Testina monster or one face down card you control, destroy it, and if you do, you can add one Testina card from your deck to your hand. So it's a pretty easy way of getting it out. It is level 3, so maybe there's going to be some ability to go into some rank 3s using it, and here it being able to target a Testina monster or face down card you control to pop it. Maybe there's going to be a Testina card that a Testina monster is actually going to be able to activate an effect upon destruction, because that'll be a good way to utilize it here and then get a bonus search. But I guess we have to see by continuing on here. So here we have Hound of the Testina. If this card is in your hand or grave and you control a light Testina monster, you can special summon this card. Exactly the same as the other card here. Just a easy monster to get out. It is level 4, so I think they might just be all different levels. I guess we'll see. Testina monsters you control can attack directly while your opponent controls a face on defense position monster. So it looks like there's a big focus here on having face downs. So I'm guessing there's going to be a monster that's going to be able to flip everything. And that's a way for you to utilize this by just skipping through your opponent's monsters and attacking directly. So here we have Demigod of the Testina. If you control a Testina card, you can special summon this card for your hand. Then you can add one Testina spell or trap for your deck to your hand. So it's a very easy way to get out a level 10 monster. And if you do, being able to search out a Testina spell or trap, that's also pretty solid. And then during your opponent's turn, if you control Testina, or if you control Crystal God Testina, which you can see is the one in the bottom here. Quick effect, you can change as many monsters your opponent controls as possible to face down defense position. Then you can send all face-up card your opponent controls to the grave. We see that it's just going to be able to flip your opponent's board, and then anything that survives it being able to send to the grave. We saw this before with another card. I'm kind of blanking on the card here, but I know this is just a great way of clearing everything out. Essentially, like if your opponent happens to have a link monster, this is a great way of just getting rid of it. It's a non-target form of removal, non-destructive as well, just sending it directly to the grave here. Not only that, being able to have the the ability to flip these cards face down, that can be useful as well. As we saw, we have this Hound with Testina that just lets you bypass them and just attack directly. And then here we have Crystal God Testina. So it looks like this is going to be the actual full-blown boss monster for the deck. During your main phase, you can change as many monsters your opponent controls as possible to face on defense position. Then you can send all face-up cards your opponent controls to the grave. So same effect as this one. The only thing about Demigod Testina is that this card is actually able to activate during your opponent's turn. And this card, it's going to be a manual effect that you can activate during your turn. And if this card is in its owner's possession, it's destroyed by an opponent's card, you can change as many monsters your opponent controls as possible to face on defense position. Then you can send, so it's the same thing as the other effect, just upon destruction. So that's good. If they try to remove this card, being able to, they're going to have to play around this card basically. And here we have a field spell, which is Divine Domain by Tistina. Its effect here is during your main phase, you can send one Testina monster from your deck to your grave. Then if your opponent controls 3 or more face-up cards, you can special summon one Crystal God Testina from your hand or deck. It basically like checks to see if your opponent actually has face-up cards, and if doing so, you get out Crystal God Testina, and then you can actually use the effect of Testina here. So this definitely looks like it's a going second build, or at least deck here. And so I think people are just gonna have to play around trying to build a deck centered around that, just because it does seem to rely a lot about like what your opponent is able to establish and then how you're able to break it here. This card is in your field zone, is destroyed by your opponent's card effect. You can special summon one Testina monster from your deck or grave. So again, it's just a decent way of getting something out if this happens to get removed. Similar effect to Crystal God Testina, just an effect that triggers upon destruction. Then here we have Breath of the Testina. It's a continuous spell card. During your main phase, you can normal summon one Testina monster in addition to your normal summon / that. That can be good. I'm guessing it's just in case you happen to have 2 monsters out and you want to manually summon these Testina monsters out. That's also an option. But mainly you're just going to be using it in order to get your little guys out in the form of Sendon of Testina or the Hound of Testina. You can target one face-up monster you control, or if you control a light Testina monster, you can target one face-up monster in the field instead. Change that monster to face on defense position, then add one Testina card from your deck to your hand. So being able to target one of your opponent's monsters, flip it face down, that seems okay. And then being able to search out a Testina card, of course, is pretty good as well. Then we have Signs of the Testina. It's a continuous trap card. You can activate this card by targeting one face-up monster in the field. Special summon this card as an effect monster with the following effect. And then during your opponent's turn, when that target leaves the field, destroy this card. During your opponent's turn, when this card leaves the field, destroy that target. This card, it's tied to the monster. You're going to want to tie it to your opponent's monster here, and it's going to make it difficult for them to want to get rid of your card without them destroying their own card here. So it looks like an okay archetype. It doesn't seem the most powerful. It just seems okay, very okay. I don't think it's going to be doing anything too crazy here. It might be a little fun to see. I think it's a little underwhelming. Just all it's really doing is flipping things face down. I don't even think it's like the most effective way of doing it, since we don't really see a lot of cards that synergize around your opponent's monsters being face down. We have a few cards here that are able to do so, in the form of Hound and Testina, just being able to attack correctly, but nothing too crazy. I do see the potential of level 10 or rank 10 XCs because of these two monsters and the trap. So that could be fun to see. But overall, I think it's just an okay archetype. I'll be surprised to see if it does any big waves. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think about this archetype. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.